Hi, Keith. I figured I would actually show you fixing three different things in this particular video, just to have them all um, in one spot. Um, the so I'll go with the super stupid easiest ones first. So basically, for the shots and whatever other visuals, um, there's a couple of things that have changed in terms of how they are accessed, um, because of moving from the resources folder paths to the prefabs. Sorry, the um, asset bundle path. One of the things that you can actually do in my um, little, where did I put it? I think you moved it actually. At any rate, in the little utility library for um, uh, yeah, it's totally somewhere else now. In the utility tool for um, loading an asset bundle, there's a thing in there that's like get all the names of files in the asset bundle, and then it is able to write them to the disk. That may be worth putting in a um, like F3 menu or some sort of debug function anyway, because I can see modders running into that too, where where they're like, why am I not finding this file that is in the asset bundle that I, the modder, created, and I thought I knew where it was. For some reason, it's not coming through. So I could see both us and modders needing it. I mean, I don't think I will, but because it's really fairly straightforward. But um, you never know when um, when somebody else has been changing something, then it's a lot less straightforward. So if I did it, then I know where it is. But um, bottom line is that before it used to be relative to the resources folder and then whatever it was after that, and no extension, and it also had to be in the same case as it was in the file system. Um, okay. Now it is relative to the project folder. It's always going to start with assets. Um, and then the the full folder name with forward slashes, um, inside that with the file extension, and it must all be lowercase. Fortunately, I knew there was something, I couldn't remember what it was, but Control U will automatically make the selection lowercase. So in this particular case, just adding .prefab on the end, and I look in, this is the, can't see it, but this is the Unity prep one, and everything that's going in the Arkin bundle, I am putting in the Arkin bundle folder. Um, and then the goodie box one, it comes in here. And so then effects and shot hit red and all that. So all of that is pretty well the same in terms of path name. So just bing, bing, it's done. On the, um, yeah. On the AI War core side, um, I neglected to do the same thing here with these default prefabs. And so, of course, those are then not in XML, but it's the exact same deal. I do have those hard coded, but um, I figured kind of why not? Because they're meant to be overridden anyway. So I don't really see an issue with the default being hard coded. If you do, then um, probably some sort of global XML lookup for certain string values that we can pull in would be useful. I mean, I guess, frankly, I guess it could go in the language file. That's a little weird of a place to put it, but that would be the sort of thing I'd have in mind, I guess. So yeah, that should fix those two things. Um, Now, when I look at that, you were having an issue with the AI ships. Um, Now that again is something that I'm not normally, obviously going to make you fix or something, but just so you know how to, if I'm not like right around or something. Um, and we wait. Um, so first of all, since that other one's reloading still, with the Spacebox camera, um, I don't know why this happened exactly. Um, Let me make this smaller. Here we go. But something that you changed in your adjustments made it so that it lost a reference to what the script was. Now that's under Spacebox camera. There's actually two of those. Um, you can select both if you want to, and then you just type that in Spacebox ST is the name of the class. And then once that comes in, then it's happy, and everything should work correctly from then on. For some reason, when I hit apply on the prefab here, um, it is not working properly anymore. It is updating the prefab, but it's keeping it in a I have had some changes locally state. So it is having some references to something that it sees as local, which is mildly disturbing. I'm not sure what that is, but it should be easy enough to sort out later. There is an error that we're going to wind up with here in a second. Um, the Okay, so all right, so there's a oh boy, you moved a bunch of stuff. All right, um, so instantiate prefab text arc and element UI. All right, so a bunch of stuff apparently got moved around. Um, That's okay. It's not the end of the world. Okay, maybe it is the end of the world. Um, Arcan UI text. Well, I'll have to find out what that's about. But with some of these other things here, we get the same issue of okay, wow. So a ton of stuff apparently got or this is Amplify Bloom. That's okay. Um, the sunlight. Okay, so yet more stuff that moved somehow. So F3D sun is what that is. Um, what is that in? That's in Arc and DLLs, Arc and AOW third party.dll. I don't know why. I guess maybe you moved that out of standard assets or something along those lines. I'm not sure. Um, But yeah, this one's okay because this is should be Amplify Bloom again. Um, and then all of these dealies. So normally Unity has a wonderful thing where uh, it uses GUIDs to keep track of where scripts are, so it doesn't have to be just by name. But when we move things into DLLs, it loses that ability. And so yeah, okay. So now I can see this. I just did, I believe, a build Windows bundle thing a second ago. And so it was complaining about a lot of these things. Incidentally, it says in scene, whatever scene is open when it is complaining. When you're doing the asset bundle build, you need to be um, either in prep core or scale examples probably for it to work fully right. So this is not very helpful because it's got, script attached to point zero and et cetera. It's like, where is point zero? Those probably are in the squad paths here. And Yeah, so we've got all these ones here that are point, and so selecting all of these, um, this is the second thing that I wanted to show you that you will run into sometimes. That's a different project. Um, there is a special, did I not drag the right thing? Okay. There's a special debug mode. You'll notice there's nothing I can do here. Now, you could just remove and re-add the script, but that would be a really big problem because there is metadata attached to this mono behavior that is still there, but if you remove it, it will get lost. And right now, it doesn't even know what kind of script it was. It would if we weren't using DLLs. But thanks to us using DLLs, it is completely in the dark. So there's a special debug mode um, that you can get to from that little drop down widget thing up there. The lock is actually really useful too if you need multiple inspectors. But debug mode lets you do a whole bunch of things that can get into a whole bunch of trouble. And it lets you do a lot of things that you're not normally allowed to. It also turns off a lot of the normal interfaces. So if you're ever like, hey, why is the Beautify interface not showing like it should? Something's broken. It's like, you're in debug mode. That probably won't really happen to you, but that certainly happened to me. So these should be, I think, Bezier points. Yep. And so when I edit all of those, then hooray, they're no longer complaining. And of course, I can go back into normal mode and then I see that they're there. If I hit apply on any of these, then the prefab is happy again. I'm going to need to go back into the debug mode in order to just quickly. And I think possibly these are showing up as white like this because they're missing stuff. That's probably what it is in the other project too. So um, it's probably not actually a big deal uh, in terms of why it's not acting correctly as um, acting as expected as a prefab. Let's put it that way. All right, so that one is happy. Then this one is happy. Um, then you were having some issues with the um, Bezier curve being null on the fighter AI one. So when I pull this open and look in here, it's easier to see if you're in normal mode. So um, ba, 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 um, don't see anything that looks obviously wrong, but when I compare it to the human fighter, let's see here. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is not referencing any of the children stuff. So in this particular case, it should be referencing this fighter AI as the child to duplicate. Icon prefab is fighter ring gimbal here. And then the paths prefab, that's why it didn't have anything. Swarms path 10. Why this stuff got lost, I really can't say. And this is object type. Oh, it lost everything. That's what happened. It shouldn't be type basic. It should be type squad of ships and 0, 0. And now I believe, yeah, just child to duplicate is different. Everything else is the same. So happiness. All right. So fighter AI apply. Everything should be hunky dory. I do, let's clear that out. Build the asset bundle. Um, I moved the light starship since that's not really what it's going to be called. And since we were talking, these are small files, they can be named whatever. So I just made a mercenary thing and did Tyrannite, uh, still recompiling, Tyrannite leader Merc. And so back over here under ships for the light capital ship, it's just this, and this is under the mercenary folder now. And so that, and then just control U, and it should be happy. Now, all of these scripts here with these, gosh, lots of stuff got moved. Alrighty, so in this particular case, if I search for terrestrial 3 and so on here, these are most of these except Sun Globe and Dyson Sphere all use the same thing. This is a script that, again, I have to go into the debug mode in order to assign. Gosh, what was that script? And since it should be F3D Planet. That's what it is. Forge 3D Planet, F3D Planet. If I didn't remember that, which I almost didn't, then I would have to go into that original project, which I just took a copy of that in time and named it Old AI War Too Old and put it, in my folder there because I was with the AI War Actual and AI War Ultra and stuff. I was getting all mixed up. So that helped me fix that. With these ones, these are using offset texture animate. You'd have no way of knowing that. Yeah, so at any rate, Keynote here, actually, you may be uncertain in this particular project if it's actually saved all of those prefabs that I just added. When you hit apply, when you're in the scene, it's a lot more obvious that it definitely did it. With the prefab, you don't necessarily know that it updated the asset database. So I've created this thing that's used for a variety of things, Arc and Object Manipulator, Arcoman, and you can hit save all assets. And yeah, it was not saved. And you'll see that it's saved and how long it saved. If it says something greater than about 0.01 seconds, then it had something to save. Usually it'd be something more like 0.3 seconds. In this particular case, there was a bunch of stuff that it had not properly saved to the asset database. It was saved in the editor per se, but not fully committed, I guess, is a good way to put it. So now, just to make sure that everything's clear there so that whatever the issues are, I can fully tell. Bippity boppity boo. Bundling and compressing data. Now, there are a couple of things here. These things, Portal 1, oh gosh. Okay, yeah. So Portal 1, I think, is the wormhole. So wormholes aren't going to be working. These other things are ones I have to find. That's a whole other story. So on this side now, more or less everything should be happy. There's going to be some missing scripts because of some legitimately missing things. Instantiate prefab text, Arcan UI element. This is yours from the sound of it. And I don't know what it's having an issue with, but it needs to stop. Well, yeah. So I don't know about that one, but I can tell you why it's happening, which is that it's unable to instantiate prefab. So it's having a null reference exception here. There's a good chance that's actually this.instantiate prefab, and it's got a prefab name. Okay, so you've got your I don't know where your resources.load. Okay, that's not going to work anymore. probably. So the problem, well, I guess it will work. Hey, leave me alone. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. So in this particular case, it might actually be ArcNUI instance canvas is having trouble instead, in which case it would be Arcin game controller. Where do you have your ArcNUI? Arcin visual, right? Arcin. Yeah, I'm going to say that you're trying to load stuff from resources and that that's not okay because probably, I mean, if you really do want to use the resources, then I guess you can, but um standard S is cdupe, JetForge, Beautify, TextMesh Pro, ArcNUI resources. Okay, so you're putting this stuff in here. Okay. So ArcNUI button, ArcNUI text, that is in the resources folder. So that is how those should work. I don't see any problems with that per se. So I mean, okay, that will work. But ArcNUI element 41, yeah, you have to be careful that you're, so I'm guessing that we have different versions of this scene or something to that effect. And so then there's not an ArcNUI instance canvas declared in here. So I'm betting that if I have an ArcNUI, well, I don't know. Something along those lines. Anyway, it makes it unrunnable for me at the moment. It's not that big a crisis because I didn't need to run it. But one of the things that really needs to be done in general is we're going to run into issues like this. So so basically, we have to have kind of stupid checks in there. So if I'm not sure if we can do not result, I think I should be able to, because that checks if it's either disposed, or null. And so then if not, instance return result, and if so, that one is return result. So this one has to be equals null. So with these things, that way, you know, well, actually, we should have it say a complaint of what actually the issue is. So debug log error. Um, because we or somebody is inevitably going to run into, synth or somebody is going to run into this in the future for some reason. And so then we'll actually have error messages for it. And perhaps even more importantly, it can just kind of fiddle along and, live well enough that I can probably get into the scene and verify that the other things that I was fixing are working now. The portal 1, of course, is still busted. Okay, so it says the canvas is null. So I don't know what Arkin UI instance is. I'd have to find that, but um, at any rate, now I can actually run, um, and it, of course, put that up there, but cloned it. It didn't parent it because it couldn't get to that code. So um, the portal, the thing is there, but it's not animating at all, as you can see, because it's because of the lack of um, because of that script that's missing. So the AI ships are here, and of course they're still glitching out because of yeah, I thought maybe so. The profiler loves to turn on by itself. And then I noticed that things are moving slowly, and yeah. Um, at any rate, so at this point, it's all the expected things that are null or missing. I'll have to fix the portal one, but overall, things are functioning, and even this mercenary ship thing, uh, the correct reference is there, and the explosions are happening, and it looks like the shot hit. Explosions are happening and stuff. So we're not seeing like a bunch of errors happening as these are going. The little shot hit effects. There they are. So okay, that is kind of a rundown of a lot more than I actually expected in terms of like ways in which things have become brittle thanks to us using DLLs. None of that stuff, for the record, happens if you're not using DLLs. This is in no way a castigation of the fact that we're using DLLs. I think it's great that we are, but I just feel like it's worth noting that Unity's not that stupid. They do have a blind spot when it comes to the DLLs, though, although in fairness, I'm not really sure how I would solve that problem myself. I mean, yes, you can match on script um, uh, file names and stuff, but we're talking about prefabs here and class names. We're talking about prefabs here that had their thing moved. So you're really not going to want to move Arkin Universal again, or the third-party stuff again. In theory, there might be some point in the future in which we're like, hey, we could just put that in standard assets because it's not going to make any difference. Might make compiling, slightly faster. It's going to break everything if we do that again. So, um, yeah, that's just if we were using, regular scripts, you move those and the Unity editor has those GUIDs that map in the asset database, and no problems. But um, anyway, when you start getting loads of weirdness like that, that's what's going on. Do remember that you can go into the debug thing. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you don't. There is a rhyme or reason to it, and it has to do with um, whether it kind of sort of thinks that it has a reference to it. That's not even really worth getting into, and I'm not sure of all the nuances about it. But basically, when it kind of sort of thinks that it has a reference to it still, then it won't let you reassign the script because it's going, no, 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 no. Put the script back and we'll be happy because it still has a GUID reference basically. And so then you have to go into the debug mode. If it's just throwing its hands up and it says, I have no idea what we're even talking about. Can you give me a script, please? In those cases, you actually do run the risk sometimes of data loss. And at some point in the past on that fighter AI squad, it had no references to its sub squads and stuff. Same deal here on the bomber AI. Um, that happened probably because of a mistake that I made in assigning it to something wrong at a particular point in time. I don't know. It was some sort of voodoo when the moon was wrong. I mean, it all makes perfect sense in terms of if you understand how their asset database works and so forth. But it can be hard to trace back what exactly it was that you did. Speaking of their asset database, in some respects, it's kind of like source control in terms of having to check the stuff in. You've got your working copy that is in, you know, Unity's RAM, so to speak, and you can have saved that, but it may not have been, quote, committed to the asset database, which means it's actually sent to disk. That's really useful for performance reasons in the Unity editor. You don't run into that when you are hitting apply on a prefab that you've got selected in a scene, because that is saying um, apply me to both your working copy, the working copy in the assets folder, and update the asset database with it. When you make mass updates or even a single update, sometimes in the Unity scene project view, excuse me, in the project view, in the project hierarchy, um, it is usually something that will save when you hit Control S, but sometimes you don't want to hit Control S because of the scene that you're in. And you can, of course, try and hit File, Save, Project, but that is not as reliable as I felt like it should be, which is a little frustrating. And so I made the little Save All Assets thing. That one is a fumble for sure on the Unity side, but it's pretty handy to be able to. Okay, so there was something that had changed. 0.3 seconds, something was different. um, save it again, and it was not. It probably was something different based off of these. The fact that I had just done a build of the Windows Asset Bundle. So um, yeah, so thanks for watching. Sorry this was so long.